In Gaza and Lebanon, escalating military actions and a deepening humanitarian crisis are sparking global concern. We'll examine how Donald Trump's return to the U.S. presidency could impact Iran's political and military strategies with his maximum pressure approach, potentially reshaping the Middle East geopolitical landscape. But we'll start off with examining the latest developments in the Middle East. I'm Henny Saif, and let's get in focus. Welcome back. The Guardian has reported that global food security experts warn of an imminent famine in northern Gaza, with the situation potentially surpassing all previous crises since October 7th of 2023. The Famine Review Committee stresses urgent action to prevent widespread starvation and disease, as 75 to 95,000 people remain at risk. The ongoing Israeli blockade severely limited aid, exacerbating the crisis. Humanitarian agencies urge a dramatic increase in deliveries to address severe food shortages and malnutrition. With the death toll surpassing 43,500, largely women and children, the UN warns that the looming famine could eclipse the current disaster, demanding immediate international intervention to prevent further tragedy. And providing more analysis regarding the current updates about the latest escalations in the Middle East, we're joined now from Beirut by Brigadier General Neji Melaib, a military and strategic expert. Welcome, General Melaib. Now, with 70% of Gaza's casualties being mainly women and children, how's the international community responding, and what role could Lebanon play in addressing the crisis?
In fact, addressing this crisis, the American aid to Israel has to stop. In fact, there has to be humanitarian aid provided to Lebanon. In fact, Blinken comes to Israel while the entire Gaza Strip is under siege and blockade, and he says that we're going to allow humanitarian aid access into the Gaza Strip, while in fact we have a lot of schools, a lot of living areas and civilian areas are under complete siege and blockade. And in fact, more than 800 persons were murdered within 18 days. And in fact, when the American aid and support to Israel stops, we can say that we can find a solution.
Sir, now, Benjamin Netanyahu has appointed a hardline Gaza war supporter as U.S. ambassador. What shift does this signal in the U.S. policy? How could it impact Lebanon's and Gaza's security and the broader region? Sir, now, Benjamin Netanyahu has appointed a very hardline Gaza war supporter as the U.S. ambassador. How do you think this will affect the U.S. policy, and how will it affect the situation in Lebanon and Gaza?
to the right-wing government of Israel, which in fact has nominated somebody who is a secular person or got this secular person out, and instead of him, it in fact appointed Minister Adayon Saab, who is an extremist minister. In fact, we have an ambassador that is pro-war and a warmonger. And in fact, this is definitely going to affect what's the remainder of the Biden administration term negatively, because Biden has been protecting Israel and has promised not to ever let Israel without protection, without an American protection. And so I don't know what the elected American president is going to do in this regard in the future.
General Malab, now, Israel's recent strikes on southern Lebanon, are they primarily defensive? Are they targeting Hezbollah strongholds? Are they working on weakening the Lebanese infrastructure as a whole? What is your assessment?
Fact, after the 7th of October, when President Biden came to Israel and stated that we are not going to keep Israel under jeopardy in the future, then Hezbollah started, or whether Hezbollah started out this conflict or not, Israel would have still enjoyed the American protection and would have still carried out offensive over Lebanon. But the principle carried out by Israel, in fact, is one that is represented by achieving or carrying out violence and double-fold or tenfold violence. But it seems that Israel has incurred a lot of losses because its army got expelled from the south of Lebanon, and the internal areas of Israel are still now being afflicted by Hezbollah offensives. In fact, or I would say resistance in this regard. In fact, President Biden as well seems that he's going to keep on fulfilling his promises to Israel by protecting it further and further as long as he's in power.
So one final question now. The UN has warned of potential famine in Gaza that might be catastrophic, even more than the thousands who have been killed and injured. What solutions might be proposed given Israel's blockade and the ongoing strikes?
The solutions are actually quite clear. In fact, the Lebanese alleged to operationalize the resolution 1701 in its entirety. In fact, the South Lebanon region should only have international emergency security forces, but in fact, this resolution as well states that all foreign military forces should withdraw from all Lebanese lands, not just from the Blue Land or the Blue Line region. In fact, the withdrawal of military forces should be carried out from all borders between Lebanon and Palestine, coming and stated in the Convention of 1949. And in fact, a convention or a committee was formed to track the execution of the provisions of this resolution.
That was Brigadier General Neji Melaab, the military and strategic expert. Thank you very much, sir, for your insights. And we'll move to the potential impacts now of Donald Trump's return to the U.S. presidency on Iran's political and military strategies.
We can fix every single problem our country faces and lead America, and indeed the whole world. USA! This is a magnificent victory for the American people. Promises made, promises kept. We're going to keep our promises. Nothing will stop me from keeping my word to you, the people. We will make America safe, strong, prosperous, powerful, and free again.
Trump's planned return to maximum pressure against Iran signals a hardline approach to reshape the U.S.-Iran relations amid a transformed Middle Eastern landscape. Politico reported that the transition team insiders reveal initial plans to reinstate severe sanctions on Iran, aiming to stymie its oil exports and reinforce Israel. Trump's strategy faces new complexities, with Iran deepening ties with Russia and mounting global backlash over Israeli actions in Gaza and Lebanon. Though navigating reduced U.S. geopolitical leverage, Trump appears poised to act decisively, rejecting limits on Israel's targeting of Iranian nuclear sites and vowing to deter Tehran's nuclear ambitions. And now we're joined by Dr. Ashraf Singer, the world political analyst from the United Media Services. Dr. Singer, thank you very much, sir, for joining us. First off, now, how might Tehran recalibrate its political and military strategies in response to Trump's return and his vows and pledges of a hardline approach to its relations with Iran?
It's clear that Iran is not happy with the Donald Trump return to the presidency. Of course, Iranians now are deeply concerned, and divided on the future of U.S.-Iran relations. I can see that kind of fear inside Iran, and inside Iran, Iran has like two divided approach. The first one, it's very important and it's essential for Iran that should really engage with Trump in terms of cooperation and try to find what we call, they can really swim together or just to be together. This is the first approach. Second approach, they think, some of Iranians, they believe that is U.S. Administration, either Democratic or Republican, never ever gonna to be happy with Iran. So basically, Iran should really prepare for kind of tough time with Trump in terms of sanction or pressure. So they need to really to understand that Trump will not be an easy guy in coming 4 years in terms of U.S.-Iran relations. But what I'm seeing, of course, Iran is a midget. It's a small country in the global power. So in Trump's view, to see what is next in his foreign policy, Trump is gonna to focus more on China, containing China, stopping China from playing a vital role in the Middle East, in Africa, in Asia. So I think China will be the focus on Trump foreign policy. This first. Second, Trump, of course, needs to understand what is next with Ukraine. So basically, the NATO member, they need to pay, what we call, military burden. So in terms of their sharing in NATO spending, not only United States should provide, the security goods but Europe should really participate equally in terms of their percentage of their GDP, in terms of each country size or volume of its GDP. So Iran, of course, very nervous. Trump, the only point that can really involve in Middle East because he doesn't want to be involved too much in Middle East because Middle East is not really the essential plan for his foreign policy, outcoming foreign policy. But I think the only point that really draw and bring Trump to the Middle East if Iran and Israel uh, gonna to escalating, reaching real war or crazy war in the Middle East.
So does the recent alleged assassination plot signal a broader shift or plays a big role in Iran's strategy towards the US?
Iran, of course, denied that claim that they were targeting Donald Trump in terms of, assassinating Donald Trump. And I think, Iran is not stupid, to be part of this kind of plot, being part of this kind of problem with the next president of the U.S. So it seems to me this is more rumors, not real. Uh, but if you really hate your enemy, you're gonna to create any story just to create Iran as a big diff in that picture. But I'm not really confident that Iran even had that capacity to
Mhm.
execute or operate in the U.S. to targeting Donald Trump. So many scholars or many experts are not really believing in that story.
Dr. Singer, now you've mentioned China and how big of a role it is playing in the global dynamics. Could you see Iran deepening alliances with Russia and China? And do you think if they do deepen their relations and alliances, how might this impact the global dynamics?
Iran, as I mentioned, is not really a big country in global politics or in global economy. So basically, create that alliance among China, Russia, Iran, North Korea. This is not. It's. I'm sorry. It's a nightmare for the U.S. So Trump. Uh, One of his major plan to try to divide this coalition. So he need to tackle issue each issue with each country separate. So in terms of Russia, uh, he claimed many times that he has a good relation with Putin. So this is to really pull down the potential nuclear conflict in Europe. So this is good things about Trump as a president. So this first, China, I'm very confident that during Trump or coming presidency of Trump, never I can really think that is China and United States gonna to involved in a war, even with that kind of situation of Taiwan. So the only war I'm expecting is a trade war between United States and China, particularly in electric vehicles. This is a very good point for Trump because this is big transition here. Next step, they need really to replace just the regular vehicles to the electric vehicle, and this is matched with Elon Musk, perspective because Elon Musk is big guy in that business of electric vehicles. So in terms of China, counter China influence in technology and trade, this is the first priority for Trump. So thinking about Iran can really add value to China or to Russia or North Korea. All these guys, Trump needs, to deal with each country in a specific, uh, you know, uh, aspects. So in terms of Iran, I don't think Iran can really be uh, giving or showing major threats to the U.S. interest in the Middle East, but only threats can Iran create it in the Middle East if Israel and Iran gonna to exchange fire or missiles or being in real conflict. But this is the only thing that is, Trump can really uh, working with Israel, to stop Iran. But Iran, that ambitious, to get the nuclear weapon. Iranians many times, they deny that
Hmm.
they have that ambitious. But Trump, of course,
Dr. Singer,
focusing that issue.
sir, do you feel that in order to soften or smooth the US intentions, do you see a chance for back channel diplomacy with the US being an option for Iran under the renewed pressure?
Uh, this is potential, why? Because Saudi Arabia, for example, in the Middle East are the major player in the Middle East politics, and Saudi Arabia and Trump, and they have a very good relation, particularly MPS, So China really did succeed to bring Iran and Saudi Arabia together. So Saudi Arabia going to be like a nice mediator between Iran and the United States, because any increasing of that tension in the Middle East going to bring Saudis very worried and concerned about that tension between Iran and the United States. So this is my view to see that kind of potential tension between Iran and the United States. So I'm sure that Trump going to smooth that relation with Iran, particularly using the diplomacy. This is the only option and the good options to deal with the Middle East, because Middle East is not really a major threat to the U.S. Foreign policy. The only threats now is China, not Russia. So this is basically United States need to focus on China, not to focus on Iran, not to focus in Israel, unless Israel, like, oh wow, I'm in big danger, so I need your help, guys,
Hmm.
So asking Washington or Israel lobby to support Israel, but in such a normal case, I don't think Trump gonna to increase that level of escalation with Iran, because this is not right for his foreign policy.
Hmm. One quick question, sir. Now, under the renewed economic sanctions, how do you think Iran can cope economically with the potential economic strain?
This is a good point, because Iran, used to be under that pressure more than 30 years ago. So Iran already, uh, you know, uh, uh, lived with that situation, with that environment, how
Hmm.
to survive. I'm sure this is not good for Iran, not good for Iran, GDP. Iran does need to or needs to involve in global politics, and this is what I'm seeing. The new president of Iran, open talk with Biden and
Yes.
the current administration. And I'm sure this guy gonna to pursue the same policy, try to approach Trump and try to convince Trump and his new administration that Iran needs to be in a good relation and good way of improving that relation and increase that level of trust rather than uh, increase that level of doubt about Iran intention. And Iran, as I mentioned, it's not
Yes.
really a big guy in the Middle East.
Yes. Dr. Ashraf Singer, the world political analyst at the United Media Services. Thank you very much, sir, for your insights and helping us understand the complexities and challenges that lie ahead of the US-Iran relations. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today's episode of In Focus, but please remember to stay updated by following Q News on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram and TikTok at Qnews EGY for the latest developments. I'm Henny Saif. Thank you for joining us.